Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a video over here by Kekvin, and there are some pretty crazy accusations going on with this one. And the statement is pretty clear. Wuthering Waves is botting views, and this must stop. We're pretty much right hot off the press with this one. It was uploaded 3 hours ago, and I only have one purpose by reacting to this video over here. Is Kekvin spitting, or is he schizoing? Because I think that this is a pretty crazy accusation to be making across, the variety of different content creators that you're seeing over here. And I just hope that he did adequate research and really was able to hone in on what exactly is going on. If, we're I know a couple of the creators that are being featured over here, and I don't really think they do that. But we'll just go ahead and find out what's going on.
What's up, everybody? Today, we got a viewbotting situation.
Okay.
Again, typically when we usually come to talk about these, we talk about them in the Hoyoverse category 99% of the time.
Yeah, Hoyo is on the record, and there are numerous content creators that previously covered Hoyoverse games that they were reached out to. There are still CCs that have taken viewbots like that have been communicated in advance, that have taken them, never addressed them publicly, and that's how they were able to grow a lot of their audience back in the early days of Genshin Impact, early days of Honkai Star Rail, all of that. So yeah, it is factually proven that those viewbots did occur for a lot of those Hoyo CCs, but as far as I'm concerned, Wuthering Waves does not have that sort of issue. We actually had a prior video back in the day where we looked at when viewbots were exiled from Twitch, and Wuthering Waves streamers were not impacted at all. So that's my personal experience with the viewbotting situation, at least on the Kuro side.
If you don't know, I have a bit of a track record of covering these botting situations. Honkai Star Rail had huge botting problems back in the day because they used to run these prize incentive live streaming competitions where they would give creators money depending on how many views they had, and the only people who would win these events were viewbotters, and Hoyoverse did literally nothing about it. It was
So I'm pretty sure the same thing happened for ZZZ as well.
a huge problem, and today we're back to talk about viewbotting, but this time, weirdly enough, it's not in the Hoyoverse category. Today we're talking about Wuthering Waves viewbots.
Okay. Let's see.
And this time, there's no incentive to be earned, and to be honest, there's not really any reason for it. It's just kind of strange.
And that would be sort of like one of the first clues, right? That it might be a little bit... Is there even actually viewbotting going on if there's no incentive and no apparent reason? I think that should have been like the first sort of like warning sign.
Nonetheless, if you're looking forward to it, you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and boy,
I hope he brought the glue.
So where are viewbots?
I hope he brought the glue. I hope he brought the evidence, because that statement at the start doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in me. There's no incentive, and there's apparently no reason.
Coming from today. So if you don't know, recently, Wuthering Waves just released their 2.7 story. It's been a big thing over the past little bit.
Absolutely.
A lot of people have been playing on it, and a lot of people have got a lot of views covering the Wuthering Waves story.
True.
Not too much of a shock. It was the finale of the 2.0 arc, I believe. I've not got to play it myself yet. And so generally, it had a pretty high view count on YouTube.
It had a high view count on pretty much every single platform. I think that's pretty certified. Yeah, high view count on pretty much every platform.
Just so we have like an idea of an average of what some of the Wuwa creators were getting on their live streams. A couple authentic ones here would be like, or at least what I believe to be authentic, would be like Marco Meatball, who's a pretty popular reactor, got 98k on their live stream. Gotcha Smack got 98k on their live stream. The voice actor for Cardathia got 71k on her live stream. Bran Online, in his 2 videos, got 40k and 72k. That's about what you'll see as an average for a Wuwa creator covering this latest story. Now, lately, we've had some unnatural ones.
Okay, so he started off by going ahead and indicating people who are probably, authentic. Now I guess he's getting into the inauthentic ones. Let's hear the reasons.
Hey, we're going to be talking about 3 in particular. There might have been more, but these were the 3 that I could find that were extremely, extremely unnatural. And so viewbotting has most definitely been done here, or at least is highly probable.
Do we have proof?
The first one which we were able to find was on the channel Ajak. She released her story reaction 6 days ago, and it has 183k views. The second one was also uploaded 6 days ago from the channel Jadalee, who has 362k views. The third one, which I was able to find, was from Amethyst Abrams, which was uploaded 8 days ago and has 160k views. Now, the range of the...
Is there a chance that maybe their reactions were just really good and the story is super popular and that they got boosted in the algorithm extremely highly? Because this is the thing, right? This is like YouTube videos. And certain videos in an algorithm, all of that, right? They can blow up like crazy. And this is also the other thing. Higher than Smack or Marco, no chance. Let's stop glazing for a second over here for 1 minute. Let's take the meat out of our mouths for a second. Those were their live stream VODs, not uploaded videos of their playthrough. So there's a clear difference in what gets propelled in an algorithm between a VOD of a live stream and an actual published video. Like, that's the thing. It's Marco and Smack never uploaded their own video on the matter. All they have up is their live stream VOD. That's the situation. So, like, at a baseline, there's a difference between the two. Because all of the individuals that he's essentially put on, you know, the chopping block over here, right? They uploaded videos. Those weren't live stream VODs.
Channels is kind of interesting because some of these channels are a little bit smaller. For example, Jadalee's a more popular creator, has 268k subs. Amethyst and Ajak are typically smaller creators. But nonetheless, these view counts are all highly inflated.
I can agree that their view counts are outliers against the norm of their channel, but everybody has 1 or 2 videos, right? Or not really everybody. Some people never get the opportunity. But there are a lot of channels where one video pops off and then the rest of them don't really do that well. That's not something that's like rare on YouTube. And I guess it's like if the only takeaway is that this video has really high views, then it's viewbotted. I don't think, like, I don't think there's enough proof to be saying that. If all we're doing is looking at the view count and nothing else. Because, like we talked about before, the Wuthering Waves 2.7 story was really popular.
Most definitely fake, and we're going to talk about why here. So, first we have to establish, what does a typical YouTube video look like? For this, I will pull up my own analytics. Most videos go on a curvature, right? So they start at the bottom, they curve upward a little bit, and maybe they might have a slight spike, but generally it's a curve graph, right? Ajak is a little bit lower, and then boom, sudden spike here, getting 70k in what seems like a day. Amethyst Abrams was the same thing, generally getting 3, 4k, 2k views a day, and then boom, sudden spike in the graph. You can see it here. It goes from 12k to 115k in 1 day. That is extremely unnatural and extremely unlikely. This more happens when you're doing shorts, this kind of graph. I was trying really hard to find how many views it had the day prior so we could get a more general estimate of how many views it gained in a day. I couldn't find...
So, I guess there's two sides of the situation over here, and I hope that he clarifies this. You can get viewbotted by somebody else, right? You can get viewbotted, and it could be something that you didn't request. It could be something that you didn't invest in, that you didn't buy. But then somebody else did it, and that's what occurs. I think the situation over here is that I'm not exactly super sure if Kekvin is making any accusations or is blaming anybody in the matter, or is simply expressing the fact that there is a rather extraordinary number of spikes in viewership for these 2.7 playthrough videos, which is sort of like the thing, right? I think that it's okay to make an observation, but if we're at the point where, again, the only evidence that we have is a higher view count on this one video, then it's a matter of, like, I don't think we can blame the person or the content creator necessarily over there, and I don't know if we can even make the conclusion that it's viewbotting. Because again, right, it could be just a video that gets picked up like crazy in the algo. So let's just wait and see. Let's hear a little bit more about what he's spitting.
And for every creator, but Amethyst Abrams did make a tweet, and one of the replies to this was actually a call out saying, hey, the view fluctuation is too insane to be called natural. If I'm not mistaken, the view counts was around 40K yesterday. Today it fluctuates to 160K. Very, very unnatural numbers. Same thing also happened to a bunch of other CCs all at the same time. So basically, for this to be natural, around 200, 300,000 people all of a sudden on one day just decide to care about YouTubers reacting to Woowa stories.
Wuthering Waves videos, right, get like 2 million something views. And this is my take, right? This is my take when it comes down to it, is as long as he's not directly blaming the CCs for what's going on, I don't think that there's too much of an issue with making a video talking about it. From my own personal experience, I'm a very low view count content creator, but that Chuyon Perry demo vid of mine popped the fuck off in the algo. Can you link it? We got Kaiser over here, right, with a 27K view video with a cool 300 subs, and the rest of his other videos, right, typically are getting way lower views. We got a whopping 66 over here, 287, 2.3K. Probably because I reacted to his vid. And then 310, 195. Rest in peace, brother, man. And then just a 27K over here. If you look at it from like a ratio of like increases, there are people going from like a regular, 3, 4, 5K to 100 something. Bro's going from 195 to 27K. That's a pretty big multiplier. Right? And I don't think Kaiser viewbotted this one. That would be pretty retarded to do. I don't think he did that. I could accuse him of it, but I think that'd be a dumb thing to do. Let's keep hearing. We've already seen an example of it firsthand. Let's just keep hearing more.
I guess it could be possible. Now, that alone doesn't prove that it's viewbotted.
True. Okay, I'm glad he addresses that. That alone doesn't prove that it's viewbotted.
But if we take a look a little deeper into the videos, you'll see some highly unnatural statistics as well. First thing to point out, the video only has 105 comments, 1.1K likes. For an 160K view video, highly improbable.
It would typically have more likes, wouldn't it?
Same thing with over here with Jadali, 362K views, 4.2K likes. 450 comments, again, highly unnatural.
I don't know. I feel like her likes are looking like okay. 4.2K seems pretty general. Let me just see how much how much does an Asmongold video get in terms of like a 166K. Well, when you look at it in respects, I think it's fair to register that for the evidence logs, right? Like this is like a 160K Asmongold video from 2 hours ago, and it's 10K. However, I don't know if Asmon is like a good benchmark to go on when it comes to interaction, because I feel like the people that watch him really, really, really like him.
Same thing over here on the Ajax channel, 1.1K likes, 662 comments, right? Just to give you guys some equal videos for comparison, this video's
equal,
right? Just
equal videos in comparison?
Likes, 662 comments, right? Just to give you guys some equal videos for comparison.
Would looking at Tectone be better? Yeah, true. Half the guys watching him hate him. Okay, that has 17K.
This is a video that I uploaded that has 320K views. This has 10K likes, right? This is a video that I uploaded that has 150K views. This has 3.9K likes.
Ooh, I don't know, buddy. Hey, maybe your stuff is viewbotted. This one has 17K with 160 likes. Maybe your likes aren't high enough. I guess now that I've seen this is, yeah, wait, this is 160K with 17, which is, I mean, let's be real here, right? That's about 5x what he has on the same number of views. So it's like, is he now viewbotting because his likes aren't high enough? Because now I have a video over here where there's more likes. I guess this is the thing, right? There's always going to be, like, I guess another example that can be shown. Because I could just use this as an example, right? Of where there's more likes. I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm not saying that he's incorrect. I'm just saying that the evidence being used over here, it can swing both ways. But I'm interested in hearing more.
And even that isn't a lot of likes or comments that I got. And it's even more weird because typically the engagement on these story reacts is super, super high. For example, this is a 72K vid from Brand. The engagement on this video is absolutely amazing. It's 799 comments, great amount, and 3.7K likes.
Okay.
So either the reacts were just immeasurably terrible, don't think that's the case, or it was view-botted, right? For that to not be view-botted would mean that the comment engagement ratio was 0.07%.
0.7% of your viewers left a comment. You know, that is potentially a little suspicious.
Which, by the way, is insane. And the like engagement ratio would have to be 0.74%, which again would be insane. The typical video like engagement rate is around 5%, comment engagement rate is around 1%. And again, these view rates are again very untypical for these sort of channels. These are channels where this is probably the most popular video they've ever uploaded is this video. And it's now going to be at the top of their channels, right? It's now going to be Jadalee's most popular video ever that isn't a short, and Ajax's most popular video on her entire channel too, right? And this all happened within the span of a day. To get 3 creators all at the same time, all have the most popular video on their channel, blow up to 160K views, while the average around the whole entirety of YouTube is 70K, need I say anymore?
You know, I'm not going to go ahead and be out here and say that it's, you know, it's confirmed or not. But one thing that is clear is there's a lot of suspicious pieces of this pie because of the I don't even want to call them counter examples, but other examples that I showed. I don't think that there's enough to make like a definitive statement. However, it is weird that it's these 3 CCs specifically. And one thing that I know, at least on my end, is that those CCs, they just don't viewbot at all. Otherwise, their shit would have more views on the regular. I'm not going to go ahead and assume that somebody's like an absolute idiot and is only going to viewbot one of their fucking videos, like literally one of them, at this one specific time with 3 other people, and then not do it for any of their other channels or do it for any of their other views. So I would dare say that, yes, there's definitely a case over here. I think there's worth investigation. However, I don't think I would have used a statement as declarative as Wuthering Waves is botting views. And I'm not sure if I would have put kind of like these CCs over here, kind of like if they're as if they're like getting blamed for it, or if it's like their fault or they're like maliciously doing it. Because, well, again, it's like they would have been doing it before, but it's not like they're out here like blowing up to 100K views on every video.
I feel like at this point, I've kind of beaten the point like a dead horse. The views are most definitely fake. Now, the question you might have as a viewer is,
I still don't think we can say most definitely fake, but it is incredibly fishy.
Where?
Because I don't think that there's a definitive way that we can say it, but it is a little stinky.
Where are the view bots coming from? Well, there's 3 possibilities.
Okay.
1, the creator. That is the most highly unlikely probability.
Okay. I'm glad that he says that. I'm glad that he says the creator viewbotting is probably the least likely one. However, once again, it is like, if we're going to recognize that in the vid, I maybe would have said Kuro is botting views, right? And then put the blame on Kuro Games, if that's where we're going to go. Which I think would have, you know, been a little bit better than... Because I think with this one, he's going to rile up the CC's fan base and have them go after him when I don't think that's his intention.
Because 1, it happened across 3 different channels all at the same time. Maybe more. There could be more that I missed. But for it to happen to 3 different people in cohesion, it's highly unlikely. If you think it's the creators, I'm going to be honest, you're probably kind of dumb.
My title is probably going to be, Is Kuro botting Wuthering Waves views?
Actually think,
because I think that's a fair question to have after seeing all of this.
You should give these creators a lot of sympathy in this matter, because a lot of them maybe aren't as educated. And I did check some of their Twitter pages, and they're over here celebrating, like, oh my goodness, guys, I did this, no way, look at what I achieved, and people are congratulating them. And honestly, you should give them a lot of sympathy, because it's honestly not right when this kind of thing happens on YouTube. Viewbotting is just...
I mean, I think he's raising a fair point over here, too, right? If it was actually the case that this is Kuro viewbotting them in the back end without their knowledge, and then they are now under the assumption that they kind of, like, did it on their own, this would Yeah, this would be like passing a test or something, right? Or like getting your black belt, but then it turns out it's because your dad slipped the instructor a Benjamin. You would probably feel not as proud of your accomplishment, right?
Unnatural, and it should be looked down upon. It kind of leads creators into like a false sense of accomplishment, which is kind of what we saw with some of those Twitter posts, which really, really sucks.
Assuming again that these videos are botted, I can see the point he's making here.
It does. So sympathies to them, prayers for them. It really sucks.
I think this would have been better closer to the beginning of the video, this segment.
But there's nothing you can do about it. I've been viewbotted before, and the most likely of the two scenarios is it's either one, the Wuthering Waves company, Kuro Games, or two, a unidentifiable third party, could be a fan.
Basically, you got Kuro Games is doing it, or you got a Hoyoshill is doing it behind the scenes to specifically sabotage just these three Wuwa creators. Which, again, that doesn't really make that much sense either. So it does... My take on this is that this is probably Kuro trying to prop up certain CCs in the space that they want getting more views on their Wuthering Waves content. Unfortunately, I feel like what they don't recognize is that they might just actually be hurting their channels more in the long run because, well... Basically, the way that the YouTube algorithm works is that it takes the people that have already watched your video and resuggests your new content to them. And so what has happened in the algo for all these creators is they've got like a huge new audience that may or may not even be actual people. And the algo is going to desperately try to like send out all their new content to them, but they're potentially bots and not even real people, right? And so those videos don't get viewed when they get sent out to this crazy new audience, right? And then, well, it keeps trying to send it out, and then the algo's like, okay, nobody's watching this shit. Let's just take you out completely. And that's what is genuinely going to happen, I think. I would dare say that seems like that's what's going to happen if the viewbotting situation is actually true. So you can actually do more a lot of damage to a creator.
Could be somebody who's really passionate about the story, could be a sponsor, lots of possibilities there. In order to identify which two of those it could be is basically impossible. There's no way to really tell where the viewbots are coming from. It's almost impossible to trace it back. So it really could be from anywhere. And unfortunately, I do not have those answers for you today. I would say probably more likely it's a third party because I don't think, from what I've heard, Wuthering Waves has a long history of viewbotting.
I just find it weird that the third party example doesn't make that much sense to me, because why would it only be those three specifically? Because this is something that I'll say about Age, Amethyst Abrams, and Jade Ali's content. They kind of remind me in a sense, right, of like they have an air of positivity around them. Right, when it comes to the content that they make, they never make critique pieces about games. They kind of like, kind of only like lean into the more like, super positive sort of, the super positive sort of content. They're like family friendly creators, right? And like comfy, family friendly type of creators. And that to me almost leads to the assumption of, I do think it probably actually is like Kuro Games doing it. Yeah, unlike me, right? Like, I'm not gonna come out here and say that I'm like one of the giga positive CCs, right? I just talk shit about everything, but that lets me do whatever I want, which is awesome. I have no ties to Kuro Games, right? I don't plan on having any ties to Kuro Games because that would heavily restrict the type of content I can push out. And I guess to me, this looks like Kuro trying to, again, prop up different types of CCs in the space. But I hope they understand that this is something that's likely going to backfire because, well, now we got videos like this going on. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of it does look relatively stinky.
I haven't seen them do it. The Wuthering Waves category in both YouTube and Twitch has looked natural from what I've seen for a very, very long time.
True. Yep. Views on Twitch have not had any irregularity at all.
But then again, I am quite uneducated in the matter, so I do think that is definitely a very open possibility as well. But either way, let me know your guys' thoughts.
Okay. I think we could just cut the video over here. Yeah, I think that this is definitely... I think this video was organized incorrectly. I don't think there's anything wrong necessarily with what he's saying. I just think that, yeah, talking more about who should we blame for this or who should be blamed, who do we think is responsible is more so stuff at the start. And he should have... I think he should have gotten into the evidence a little bit faster. Like said, okay, this is what some of the unnatural stuff is looking like, and this is who's affected. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the organization of this one made it come off way more accusatory towards the CCs when he literally in the video says he doesn't think it's them. I think the content is fine, just the organization of it was kind of dog shit. So he's probably going to get some flack for that one. I think it's a little bit deserved, but it's just a learning lesson from him. I don't think the video was bad. Somebody said that Age actually responded regarding the matter. Let's see it. Turns out it's most likely viewbotted. Yeah, I guess that's the thing, right? Even the content creators themselves are recognizing that there's some fishy stuff going on behind the scenes. But like what was said before, I don't think it's them. I don't think it's also a third party because these 3 specific comfy CCs makes it weird for it to be a third party. I think it's literally Kuro Games. And I think they're doing something incredibly just stupid as fuck over here. I really question... I'm gonna be real over it. Sometimes I question the decision making behind like some of the EN on the EN marketing side of things. Cause stuff like this is going to get out, and I don't think it's like the parent company. I don't think it's the developers that are doing this. But whatever team they have sort of like managing stuff on the EN side, I feel like they are kind of. I feel like this is like a little bit of like a goofy thing. If it turns out this was them, but. At this point, right, it's going to be really hard to find out. Maybe the situation will develop further, but just keep in mind that there does seem to be some type of view manipulation going on behind the scenes. But like I said before, I don't think it's the CC's fault. So, yeah, maybe we'll find out more. Let me know what you all thought. Peace.